Boom. Good morning. January the 23rd, Monday. It's time to shake, rattle, and hum. So get out of the bed, put your feet on the floor, get your cup of coffee, get your Bible. Join us here in the next 3 minutes as we get ready to have a morning word before we get to our day. So put your feet on the floor. Let's shake, rattle, and hum. Everybody's good. Let me see if I can get you guys pulled up here. Here we go. Good deal. Here I am on the iPad, and it's all hit. Mary Joyce and Anita, good morning. Kim Barnett. Hope everyone is well this morning. Had a good weekend. Desiree, Ramona, Al, Mary Ann Stanley, good morning. Doug Jones, Missy Ramsey, Sonny B, Nick Walker, Clarence Barger, Chris Miller, good morning. Rebecca, Gary, Candy Hagler, Jana Mason, Lane Dawson, Josh Johnson, Tara Davis, Kim Farnsworth Owens, Faye Taylor, Patricia Stacy. Y'all on it this morning. Come on with it. Good to see y'all this morning. Hey, Kathy Whitaker and Rhonda Goins and Rob the Fox Wiggins. There my man is, Rob. Rob's praying for me every Sunday and always sends me a prayer. Hey, Robert, Brenda, Sherry, and Vanita. And I appreciate it, Rob. Hey, Tammy, Wade. Good morning to you, buddy. Good to see you. Joanne, good morning to you. And Tony. All right, y'all get your Bible open. We're going to be in Mark chapter 14. Hey, Tess. Hey, Heather. Good morning. Good to see y'all this morning. You looking up definitions this morning, Kim? You a mess, Kim. You straight up a mess. Did you get that wussification spell right, Kim? It's WUSSIFICATION. Hey, Darlene and Julie. Good morning. Robert in Mobile, Alabama. Hey, Robert, what's going on, my man? EJ, Eric Jones, good morning. Good morning, Artie. You go on, Kim. Tim Posey, good morning to you, buddy. Hey, Nicole, good morning to you. I didn't get to speak to you yesterday, Nicole, but I saw you sitting back there. Good morning to you. All right, we got about 30 seconds. Is that you, Robert, asking for prayer for a niece, Megan? Okay. Minaj, good morning. Dana, good morning. Good to see you too. Minaj. Was that you, Robert, asking for prayer for a niece named Megan? Okay, I got you. I got you, bro. Y'all remember she's having surgery. Did I read that right? It's going past my screen pretty fast. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Linda. Good morning. All right, here we go. Cups up. Toast to the morning word crowd. God bless you. God bless America. Have your Bible. We're going to open it up to Mark 14 while you're turning there. Just want to give a shout out to our educators, first responders, and all of our military personnel. Thank you for what you do to serve your communities and your country. All right, here we go. Let's read Mark chapter 14, verse 17. We're going to read a few verses, and then we're going to skip down, so stay with us. In the evening, he came with the 12. Now, that's to the upper room. This is the Last Supper scenario. Now, as they sat and ate, Jesus said, "Assuredly, I say to you, one of you who eats with me will betray me." And they began to be sorrowful and to say to him one by one, "Is it I?" And another said, "Is it I?" He answered and said to them, "It is one of the 12 who dips with me in the dish. The Son of Man indeed goes just as it is written of him, but woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been good for that man if he had never been born." Now, let's go down to verse 43. Actually, verse 41. Then he came the third time. This is now in Gethsemane. Then he came the third time and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? It's enough. The hour has come. Behold, the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." And immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12, with a great multitude with swords and clubs, came from the chief priest and the scribes and the elders. Now his betrayer had given them a signal, saying, "Whomever I kiss, he is the one. Seize him and lead him away safely." I'm going to try to mention something about that word safely. And lead him away safely. As soon as he had come, immediately he went up to him and said to him, "Rabbi, Rabbi," and kissed him. Then they laid their hands on him and took him. And one of those who stood by drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then Jesus answered and said to them, "Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to take me? I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me, but the scriptures must be fulfilled." Then they all forsook him and fled. The morning word is betrayed. I'm going to probably stay in this section of scriptures for a couple of days, maybe all week, because there's just a lot of stuff to kind of bring out in this. And the morning word is betrayed. Now, Jesus has a group of men here that he's chosen by hand, and he knows from the beginning that Judas is not a partaker of the faith. In other words, Judas has a superficial faith. Jesus said, one of you, earlier in their tenure with him, he said, one of you is a thief. Now, the scriptures go on to disclose us in the other gospel recordings that Judas was indeed a thief and used to take the money that was out of the money box. But he had a part in that ministry with Jesus, and Jesus chose him, and Jesus knew that it was going to be Judas who betrayed him. Now, here's the situation. That did not affect the way Jesus treated him. From the very beginning, Jesus knew that he was a traitor, but he didn't treat Judas any differently than all the others. As a matter of fact, all the way up here to the Last Supper, Jesus is washing their feet, Judas's feet, and Jesus is fellowshipping with the Last Supper with them. And in earlier, in another text of the recording of this event, John is leaning against Jesus' chest, and he said, "Lord, who is it?" And Jesus said, "It's the one to whom I give this bread." And he dipped it in the wine, and he handed it to Judas, and he said, "What you do, do quickly." And Judas got up and left before the discourse on abiding in his word, before telling them that he was going away to not be fearful. He was coming again to prepare a place for him in heaven. The high priestly prayer, all of those things happened, but it's not recorded in Mark's gospel. The other gospels, John in particular, records that long dissertation. But here Jesus has given to him the bread, and Judas goes out. Now, Judas probably began to glean the fact that this kingdom that Jesus had told he was going to bring was not exactly the kingdom that Judas had signed up for. Judas, like the others, was looking for a place to make some money and to make a name for himself, and he hitched his star to the Star of Bethlehem, to Jesus, believing that he indeed was going to bring in a kingdom at that time, overthrow Roman rule, and Judas was going to be a shot caller in the inner circle. It didn't work out that way, and it really kind of came home to Judas when the alabaster box was broken. We talked about that. And it says that immediately after that, at the supper, it says that Satan came into the heart of Judas to betray, put it into the heart of Judas to betray Jesus. Now, that's kind of the setup. Now, here's the deal. How do you deal with people that betray you? How do we deal with people who betray us? Now, unlike Jesus, we can't foresee our betrayals, but we have been foretold that we will be betrayed. That's right. Now, I know that you've been betrayed in a lot of ways, in high school with dates and in high school with girls and with boys. You've been betrayed, at work. Somebody you mentioned you were going to try to get a promotion. Somebody went behind your back, cut your leg. All these types of betrayals. Betrayals in our marriages, betrayals with our kid, so forth and so on. That's the kind of betrayal. But there's another betrayal in our future, okay, that's going to happen. And Jesus has already told us it's going to happen. And he said that as times get towards the end, when Christ would be coming back, he said the love of many will grow cold. And one of the marks of the signs of the times would be that many would betray one another. Now, I want you to think about this. Judas stabbed Jesus in the back after walking with him, living with him, eating with him, and performing miracles with him and partaking. He lived with Jesus 24/7 for 3.5 years. 3.5 years. You can get to know somebody pretty good when you slide your shoes under the bed and sleep beside them, when you eat beside them, when you walk the road beside them, when you do ministry together beside them. You can get to know each other pretty well. Jesus and Judas knew each other pretty well, and Judas knew Jesus pretty well, and all the disciples knew each other. So this was a close knit. This was not like one of my friends. This was inner circle friend. Okay, this was the closest of the close. And here's what Judas said. Judas said, "I'm going to betray him with a kiss." Now this was a sign of welcoming, and also a sign that they gave to each other when leaving. Men today shake hands. In that culture and in that time, they embraced and they kissed on the cheek, kind of like the Godfather, with the crime families in New York. So Judas comes up and he's going to betray Jesus with a kiss. All right. Now here's something, I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm just going to say this. Judas thought that a bunch of men, and it said a great multitude with swords and clubs were equipped to take Jesus down. And that was stupid. So obviously Judas didn't know too much about Jesus as much as he thought he knew. But Judas comes up and he betrays him with a kiss. And then he says, take him away safely. Safely. Why does he say take him away safely? All right. Because I don't think, this is just Randy Fuller here. I know that previously to Judas coming and negotiating the betrayal of Jesus, that the Jewish Sanhedrin, we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, probably, they were plotting to put Jesus to death, but they didn't want to do it during the feast. However, when Judas comes to them and says, would y'all like to have Jesus, because I can hand him to you? They said, oh yeah. And their plans changed. And all of a sudden now they have to take him during the feast because this is their one opportunity. All right. So Judas betrays Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, and he betrays him into the hand of the Sanhedrin. Now Judas knew that Jesus could not be executed by the Sanhedrin without Roman permission. So he ain't even factored in the fact that they're planning to kill him. It says, take him away safely. I think that Judas was really doing this to put Jesus to the full and final test to see as to whether or not he was going to step up and to throw off all restraints and usher in the kingdom. I believe that this was a test. This is just me. All right. I believe that Judas thought, when Jesus is put in this predicament, he will finally come forth with his kingdom. All right. He was ready to cut to the chase. That's why when Judas saw that their intention after they abducted him and saw what they were pursuing, it said he became very saddened, threw the money back, and went out and hanged himself. Now, he wouldn't have hanged himself, all right, if he had the full intention of Jesus being executed to start with. That's just Randy's take on it. So my point is this. I don't think that Judas really understood the ramifications that was going to come about when he betrayed Jesus. And he didn't know the effect that that would have on him. All right? I think that he thought Jesus was going to step up with the kingdom and that they would be reunited back in the clan again and the plans would go forward. Not so. Now, you and I have been betrayed. And you know what it's like to have somebody stab you in the back. And that's exactly what Judas did. He stabbed Jesus in the back. He betrayed him. But here's the deal. There's coming a time in the future, and it's happening in other places in the world, not so much here in America yet. But there's coming a time when you and I will be betrayed because we are followers of Christ. Okay? They got the shepherd. They backstabbed the shepherd in this story. The next time they the next time that we see this, they're backstabbing the shepherd's followers. All through the epistles, one by one, the apostles are picked off by the crowd. Our day's coming. Now I want you to think about this. I want you to think about it because Jesus said a father will betray his children and a daughter her mother. And men will be betrayed by their own family members. Now, you know how you've been hurt by the fact that somebody, gave out your cake recipe and you told them that it was just between you and them, right? Now think about one of your children, your brother, your sister, maybe your mother or your father, betraying you to the civil authorities to be arrested, incarcerated, and possibly executed for being a follower of Jesus. That's strong. But Jesus has foretold us. Jesus has forewarned us. Now, we don't like to think about that, but he said, this is going to happen to you. They will hate you for my sake. A servant is not greater than his master. If they hated me, they will hate you. And you're going to see betrayal by the closest people in your circles. I am too. So when Jesus says, pray. I didn't read that in the story, but he said, pray lest you enter into temptation, lest you are tempted in a time of trial, in a time of betrayal, to abandon me. Pray that your faith will not fail. Now, we're to pray, and we know that Jesus is praying for us. We know that Jesus is praying for us, but that doesn't let us off the hook. We need to be praying. You know why we need to be praying? Because today I may be betrayed, and tomorrow we may be betrayed. In a worldly sense, by good friends with regards to our relationships, our marriages, our friendships, our business associations, we may be betrayed. But there's coming a day when people closest to you will betray you because you stand for Christ. Because you stand for Christ. So we need to pray because we will be betrayed. Now, that ain't something that you want to just jump out here and jump for joy this morning and spit nickels, and you're not going to give me a lot of heart emojis. I'm just trying to tell you and tell me, if it happened to Jesus, it's going to happen to us, and we can rest assured because he told us it was going to happen. And that's why we need to pray. And don't be moved. Don't be moved. Don't be moved from the faith, and don't be moved. Jesus didn't lash out at Judas. He didn't try to exact vengeance on Judas. He just left Judas with his conscience. And I'm going to close with that statement. No matter how when, where, or why. And certainly it doesn't matter who. When you are betrayed for whatever reason, just leave your betrayer with his conscience, and it will do the work. Don't try to get even. Just let your betrayer have his way and have his conscience, go his way, and God will do his work. So, I hope y'all have a great day after that message this morning. You've been betrayed. Just let your betrayer have his conscience. It'll do his work. Going to be betrayed? Pray up so we're not moved from the faith. And just let your betrayer be left with his conscience. It will do the work. We'll see you tomorrow.